Howdy folks, Sam here, and as you can see my hair has grown back completely, and yes, I still have a tumour, still have my brain tumour up here. It is a very uncomfortable 12 centimetres in size, but it's stable, and it hasn't grown in over a year. So hip hip hooray to me, and I'm going to keep going until it's gone. Plain and simple, I'm in a good state, and good emotional straits, and I thought my last video was going to be, well, my last video ever, but I actually have very interesting new information to impart onto you. Okay, so what am I doing right now? Okay, to give this a bit of background, I have to explain this to you piece by piece so you can fully understand the idea. Okay, do you accept the idea that there is other life in the universe? Yes or no? If you say no, I think that's very arrogant. I think we are not so special. The irony of not believing that there is other life in the universe is insinuating that we are somehow special. But the thing is, we don't really act like we're special. We don't really act in our own best interests most of the time, so there's a bit of a conflict of interest there, really, isn't there? So, okay, let's accept as a theoretical possibility that there is other life in the universe. Okay, let's accept as a theoretical possibility that some of that life is more intelligent and advanced than us, not only technologically and politically and socially, but also physically, in that they've shed their bodies and they can move around the universe however which they please. Okay, alright, let's accept those ideas. Alright, now going back, hold on to that second, going back to the idea that everything is here and now, that all physical reality is in fact 99% empty space, 99.9999999% empty space, and that all actual matter in the universe could be condensed to the size of a pinhead, so therefore everything is here and now. And you've experienced that. You've experienced that exactly in what you call your flow state, when you abandon the idea, well, of thinking. You abandon the idea of separation, and you flow with whatever experience you have practiced and integrated into yourself. That is how you do that. Now, let's accept that perhaps this non-physical, superior alien intelligence is actually being channeled through people in certain flow states and is imparting certain amounts of information to us about wealth, health, relationships, happiness, mind, body, spirit, etc., creativity, blah blah blah. Now, that is the premise of New Age, but put in very understandable stepping stones. Perhaps the reason why a lot of people don't buy into it, and perhaps a lot of the reason why people find it implausible that people are channeling other races of like non-physical beings, is because they don't understand those steps and they're just not willing to believe it. But here is the information that I really want to impart, and it comes from a Bashar video that I was watching a couple of weeks ago, and he's talking about, well, a bit of background on Bashar. He is one of these non-physical intelligences, and he comes from a race called the Esasani, a one-love society where everyone has no names and everyone's cool and people work towards their highest joy, and I'll explain that more in a second. He explained the idea of human psychology as follows: that there are beliefs that inspire emotional states, that inspire behaviours, and thus our thoughts, words and deeds. So, a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. Okay, alright. A belief is, no really, it really is. A belief is a thought that you keep thinking until it is true. What do I mean by truth? Something that is unassailable, and something that is totally unquestionable by yourself, because maybe you believe it deeply, or it's in your environment, or other people in your world also grasp that concept and are willing to completely accept it. A belief as something in being true is that it is hermetically sealed, and that you have the emotional state deep within you, and you deeply know this. Okay, so what I want to get here is, beliefs are the structures through which emotion flows. Right here, right now, in the moment. And emotion is the motivating force for everything that we do. Emotion drives every single last one of our behaviours. It is the engine in our car, so to speak. And we are always motivated towards what we define in our belief systems as being more pleasurable or less painful. Now, that's a very interesting thought, isn't it? Now, okay, this is a very empowering set of principles, because then, if you understand those two forces are generating not only your behaviours, but the entire world around you, and actually your current perspective of where you stand right now in relation to whatever is out there. In my opinion, it doesn't matter, because there is no out there, as I've said. The circumstances do not matter, because it's just 99% empty space. It's literally a prop, an empty, neutral prop for you to define your belief systems against and your emotional states against. So, your beliefs are the structures by which your emotions flow through, and you are always motivated towards more pleasure or less pain, but what you define as that. Now, if there is a deep conflict in your life in any area, whether it be health or wealth or all your relationships at all, particularly in the areas of wealth and relationships, because these are far less tangible things that we all have a great deal of conflict in throughout most of our lives. So it's important to redefine what these things are in relation to what we know deep down inside in our deepest hearts to be emotionally true. We have to metaphysically put our feet forward and move forward into the light. Now, there are a few things you have to remember here, is that because we're constantly moving and we're constantly growing, our emotional states are always changing. And so you can't be making it up in your head. You have to stop pretending that you know and admit that you really know, ultimately, you know nothing, because nothing is certain, because only your state of being matters. So you have to stop telling your truth and feel it and get to the space of where you truly are. The question you have to ask is, what would I have to believe is true in order for your physical, real-world experience to be thusly manifest? And you'll get some very interesting answers. And the trick here, again, there's another trick here, and that is to tell your truth, and not just be privy to the truth of others, but tell your deepest truth. Not the thoughts that run through your head, not every last thought that goes screaming through your mind, because that's insanity. This isn't the radical honesty of which I purport to be a fan of, but your deepest truth, where you truly are. And that might be frustration. I'm frustrated right now. I'm frustrated in the sense that I know that source energy, as a lot of these metaphysical, non-physical teachers have said, is constantly pouring love down onto us, and it is only our belief systems, our defensive, compartmentalized structures, which are creating a lot of, resistance and lack of belief. And then we are creating whole systems of information, whole bodies of work to defend ourselves against this enemy which doesn't exist, because it only exists in our minds. And then this eventually, on the more acute end of the scale, translates into physical pain and physical illness, and that is why I believe I got ill. That's not a case of blame, that's not a case of anger, but it is a case of recognizing that I emotionally allowed this to come into my life. So it can be reversed with these tools. All you have to do is look at the world around you and say, what would I have to believe is true to be living this world experience, this real world experience? And once you change that, because reality, physical reality, is nothing but a mirror, then all you have to do is speak it again, and you will get that reflection back to you, and that is when you know you have truly changed. So, change your beliefs by looking at the world around you, and then change your emotional motivation to move towards a state of complete non-resistance and complete flow state. Literally, be passionate about being passionate, to the point where you become hermetically sealed in your own deepest joy. And then, if you were in a state of total non-resistance emotionally and in your belief systems, your behaviours have no choice but to change. Your real-world experience will utterly alter forever. That is like the secret behind the secret, so to speak. So yes, Abraham Hicks, Bashar, Cryon, these are my new teachers, and I'm going to be exploring a lot of non-physical stuff with them. A lot of practical spirituality, psychic ability, lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, chakra intention, stuff like that. It's going to be a blast, and I'm going to be reporting in to you and with you at some point in the near future to see how this all goes. My physical plan remains the same. I'm still taking cannabis oil. I'm still taking Budwig muesli. I'm still, well, I took a bit of sodium dichloroacetate, which has numbed my feet and given me a bit of peripheral neuropathy. So we're in a bit of a sticky point there, but it's not anything that can't be reversed. I'm diving into my vortex, and I'm never coming out. Hear from you again soon. Bye-bye.